Bungie has apparently settled the plagiarism lawsuit with the writer who accused the studio of stealing elements of Destiny 2's story. Bungie has settled a copyright lawsuit with writer Matthew Martineau after he alleged the studio had used elements of his work in Destiny 2, including its Red War plot and the Curse of Osiris expansion, which tells me that if they were willing to settle, that they knew that they had probably done something wrong, or at least had concerns that the court could see it that way. And this is on top of the current allegations with the artist and the plagiarism with Marathon. Holy crap, Bungie. Can you go like 5 days without plagiarizing something bad enough to get sued? This comes to us from PC Gamer. Bungie and sci-fi author settle lawsuit over alleged plagiarism of his old WordPress stories for Destiny 2's launch campaign. Guess those YouTube lore videos didn't do the trick. In October of 2024, a science fiction author, Matthew Kelsey Martineau, launched a lawsuit against Bungie focused on a Destiny 2 enemy faction. Martineau alleged that the game's Red Legion faction, the Red War storyline, and various other narrative beats were based on his stories from 2013-2014, which had been published on a WordPress blog. Perhaps the most interesting thing about it, though, was Bungie had since vaulted all of the Red Legion content in question, which is its term for removing stuff from the game. So after an attempt to have the case dismissed fell flat, Bungie's lawyers had to rely on submitting old fan videos from YouTube and Wiki links to make its case. Holy crap. So you're telling me Bungie blocked the content trying to get the case dismissed? That's pretty much an admission of guilt. Oh, well, we're just gonna put it on ice right now, guys. We don't really know if we stole anything. We're just gonna block it just in case. And then when it gets accepted, they're like, "Oh crap! Well, we don't have it anymore. I guess we'll have to go to the old stuff." For his part, Martineau responded by expanding his claims, pulling in the Curse of Osiris expansion, and recently trying to add the Destiny Grimoire Anthology books, arguing these contained even more ideas lifted from his original work. You know what's crazy about this? I'm inclined to believe this guy for the sole reason of it's Bungie. Of course they're stealing shit. Even if they didn't do it, though, this is the problem. When you have a reputation, it begins to precede you. And then people start to believe whatever people accuse you of, because that's just who you are at this point. The whole brand of Bungie is so beyond tarnished at this point that it is actually a net negative. Probably would explain why Sony is absorbing them into Sony proper and slowly deteriorating the Bungie name. Just give it some time. Both sides have now agreed to settle the case with a new court filing obtained by the Game Post, citing a settlement conference held in front of the Magistrate Judge North on November 12th, 2025. And shout out to the Game Post, by the way. This site has been up and coming with hot stories. It's impressive. It says Bungie fully settled the Destiny 2 Red War copyright lawsuit with writer Matthew Martineau, ending a year-long legal fight. Now it appears the entire fight is over. A new filing shows the lawsuit has been settled in full. All claims are done, and the case will not go to trial. Destiny 2 Red War lawsuit update. Bungie and Martineau settle all claims according to new court filing. According to a minute entry obtained by the Game Post, a settlement conference was held on November 12th in front of Judge North. It says the talks were successful and that they resulted in a settlement of all claims. Settlement conference was conducted on this date before the undersigned magistrate judge. The filing reads, negotiations were successful and resulted in the settlement of all claims. Court thanked counsel and the parties for their efforts in bringing this matter to an amicable resolution. I will say too, one of the benefits to settling is you can put it behind a lock and key. so that other people will never know how much money this guy got. In case there are, I don't know, other lawsuits coming at Bungie for plagiarism from artists coming up soon, that they'll need to settle and they won't know what the other person settled for. Update. A new court filing has now made the settlement official. Judge Susie Morgan has issued an order confirming that all parties have firmly agreed upon a compromise in this case. The court has dismissed the lawsuit in its entirety without costs. The judge also gave a 60-day window for either side to reopen the case if the settlement falls apart for any reason. The order states that the court is keeping jurisdiction during the 60-day period so it can enforce the settlement if needed. Quote, the court, having been advised that all parties have firmly agreed upon a compromise in this matter, it is ordered that this action be and is hereby dismissed as to all parties without costs and without prejudice to the right, upon good cause shown within 60 days to reopen. I love how they talk in lawsuits. It's so long-winded just to say what they're trying to say. To reopen the action in the settlement is not consummated. The order reads, in addition, the court specifically retains jurisdiction to enforce the settlement agreement if settlement is not consummated within 60 days. Filing confirms that the case is closed on the court's docket with no trial expected unless the settlement fails to be completed within 60-day window. And here's the order of dismissal right there. And it goes into talking about the original story back when it first broke. This is not the only legal issue Bungie has been facing. Separate lawsuit involving former Destiny 2 game director Christopher Barrett is still active. Barrett sued Bungie and Sony, seeking $200 million and accusing Bungie of wrongful termination to avoid paying around $50 million. Holy shit. This Bungie studio is a shit show that Sony purchased. Good God. Barrett was reportedly fired from Bungie after at least 8 female employees came forward and reported that Barrett had made them feel uncomfortable and behaved inappropriately towards them. Oh my God. Here we go. So now we were like, believe all women. He made me feel uncomfortable. What if, here's a crazy idea. What if you don't like your boss or you're trying to get him moved out of the way so that you can take his spot? What about if he doesn't give you a raise that you demanded and you get together with your coworkers and you all say the same story because you're all not getting what you want from this person? There are other reasons why women will say things about someone. So that's why these are very precarious situations to be in, unless you're Pokimane and you just believe all women, I guess. Pirate Nation on X, as far as Marathon is concerned, moving forward, Sony says it's fully dedicated to launching Bungie's Marathon by March 2026. Quote, we are in the process of analyzing the performance on gameplay and player retention. Second Cheddar says, I'm going to assume this is Bungie's last game, especially after the high-profile departures and Destiny's fan base. Yeah, that's fair. I guess Concord wasn't enough to teach them the concept of sunken cost fallacy. Imagine buying a Bungie game, let alone the entire company. Leak of the launch. Game is so cooked. They keep emailing me saying I've been accepted into the beta when I never even applied. They're emailing everyone who's been in previous Bungie beta because they don't have any current users. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. So I'll leave it at this. I took to ChatGPT just to find out some more information on Bungie and what's going on with Marathon. I said, what is your best guess for when Bungie's game Marathon will release? Marathon was originally scheduled for September 23rd, 2025 across PS5, Xbox, and PC. In June, Bungie officially delayed the date and announced no new firm date yet. During a recent financial update, Sony Interactive, parent of Bungie, stated they expect to launch during the current fiscal year, March 31st, 2026. So it's going to be most likely March that they're aiming for this game. But factors that could shift it. If the upcoming tech test or further feedback reveal bigger issues, it could slip past March 2026. Is there any updates on the plagiarism situation with Marathon? It looks like plagiarism is acknowledged and under remediation, but is still in a transitional state rather than fully resolved. Bungie has committed to review and correction. Has the artist filed any legal info? As of right now, there's no public sign that Fern Anti-Real Hook has filed a lawsuit or formal legal action against Bungie. Nothing reported. Hook made her accusations on Blue Sky in May. Public accusations, yes. Public admission apology, yes. What do you think the odds are that she will file a lawsuit? Low to moderate, 25 to 40%. Not impossible, not likely either. Here's why. Clear evidence of copying, high value defendant. Artists often get pressured into taking action. Reasons she probably won't. Bungie already apologized and took responsibility. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You get a good enough lawyer, they could make a case for you. At least for a settlement. Private settlement is far more likely. Oh, there you go. Companies will often quietly offer payment, license fees, or compensation to avoid. Will we ever know if option 2 happened of a private settlement? Most likely no, unless one of two very specific reasons happen. Settlements almost always come with NDAs. If Bungie quietly paid her off, credited her, or licensed the art retroactively, the agreement would include strict non-disclosure, no public statements, no future claims, language preventing her from implying she was paid. Bungie and Sony have zero incentive to publicize it. They already took the PR hit. Their priority now is to make the situation disappear. The artist would be legally restricted from saying anything. Sounds to me like this is exactly what happened. If option 2, private settlement, happened, and it is the most likely scenario, the public never hears a word about it. The only tell is silence. No lawsuit, no additional public complaints, no escalations on social media, marathon releases without the plagiarized assets. If all of that lines up, it usually means the dispute was resolved behind closed doors. Wow. I was wondering if we're going to hear anything about launching a lawsuit. It sounds to me like Bungie was very proactive on this one to get ahead of it and be like, look, we need to cut a deal with you because we know we got caught red-handed and we need to make this go away. So it'll be interested to see if we ever hear about this again. But after seeing all that, I would not expect to. As far as Marathon, though, I think that game is going to be DOA. And I think Sony knows it too. I think they're in for a penny, in for a pound at this point. So they're just like, might as well just finish it off and see if we can recoup something on it. It's going to be Concord 2.0 at this point. But we'll see. You never know. For now, I'll leave that right there.